Hi, I'm Kelsey from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today I'm going to be making a pallet goat shelter. So we have 2 bucks at our farm, and it's getting to the time of year where we really need to get them separated out to their own pen because they are starting to already go into rut a little bit. You can smell they're getting pretty bucky. So we just have a little pen that used to be the garden that we are turning into kind of a little bachelor pad for our bucks. And so we got a bunch of pallets. They're all kind of different sizes, which is maybe going to be a little bit tricky. Most of them are about the same size. We'll have to see. I'm just going to try and make a simple 3-sided kind of lean-to goat shelter out of the pallets that I have, just kind of the lumber we have around, and then a little bit of sheet metal that we have as well. So it's a pretty decent day. I am wearing flannel in the end of July, not beginning of August, thank goodness, not quite yet. And I'm wearing the flannel because the mosquitoes are kind of nasty today, and hopefully the breeze kicks up a little bit here, so it'll help with that. But I'll show you what I've got to work with, and then we're going to try and make this happen. So these are my pallets, and like I said, I think, especially that little one there, they're not all quite the same size, but I have, let's see, 6 up here, counting that little guy, and I have 1 more down by the new goat paddock. So I'm going to kind of sort through these and see what matches so that I can kind of decide what walls are going to go together. Alright, so here's where I'm at so far. I ended up only going 1 deep with it because I think there's plenty of room if I just go 1 deep for them to tuck in kind of back in there. I grabbed some extra sheet metal we had, and I'm kind of figuring out a roof here a little bit, trying to figure out how many pieces I'm going to need. And also, I don't know enough about like sheet metal and roofing to know that if I can run the roof so it goes this way with these little rivets, if it's still going to be effective with rain and stuff, or if it needs to go so these rivets are the other way so the rain runs that way. So I'm not really positive about that. So right now what I'm doing is I am just putting some kind of support beams up here on the front part of the shelter, and this is going to be where the roof is going to get its pitch from, because I don't want to have just a flat roof because this is going to get snow and rain and everything else on it. So I am doing an angled roof. All right, so for an update, we've done kind of our little rafters here across the top. And I think we probably are just going to use this sheet metal. I'm going to do either quick Google search or call my dad and ask him about, if it's fine to have these ridges running this way. And if it's not a big deal, we're probably going to screw down our roof. And then at that point, I'm assuming the baby's going to be up and it'll be time for me to make lunch. All right, so we've got it about as done as it's going to get today, and I'll just post updates on the blog as we kind of add a few more features to it. So check below in the description box. If you're watching this, I'd say at least a week or 2 after the date this video is posted, we should have updates to show you how the finished product looked, but let's take a look at what we've got so far. All right, so here's how it looks, how it's turned out so far. So as you can see, we used 2 pallets on the back, and then 1 pallet up each side, and then 1 pallet here to make our little bit of the front part. And then we did some pretty simple rafters. Here we just went straight up with this. I put screws up through the bottom, and on 1 or 2 of them I did screws kind of down through the side too for extra stability. But this thing, I can shake it and it's not going anywhere. It's pretty solid. And then just did a 2x4 straight down the back. So the whole thing's made pretty much with 2x4s and pallets, so this project literally cost nothing. It was all stuff we already had around the farm. So that's just what I did for all the braces. And then inside, you can see, I think there's definitely enough room for our 2 bucks to snuggle up in there if they need to. And if we want, like I mentioned before, we can expand kind of that front wall and close it off a little bit more, or make some kind of a door if we need to. And then we just used some sheet metal that was salvaged from another building that we got, and so we just screwed that down. And it's definitely not, a mentor used to say, it's not a Steinway, and this is definitely not a Steinway piano. You can see some of my screws had to jig a little bit to one side or the other just because I didn't have my my rafters exactly straight, which is a little too bad. But I just kind of cut the ends off here and left a little bit sticking out, and that's pretty much it. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It took less than 2 hours to put this whole thing together from start to finish. So what, if you check back at our blog later, we're going to do is we are going to add some more sheet metal around the outer walls, so that way it's going to be windproof for winter. If it was just summer or spring, or you live in kind of a warm climate, this actually would maybe be enough, just this situation here. But we're going to add sheet metal around the sides, and then I think this will probably come up a little ways here, so it's not quite so drafty, but still allows for a little bit of airflow in the winter. And of course, we do have a pretty big opening here. So that's how it turned out. Thanks very much for watching the construction of our little goat shanty. As I said before, you can check the description box below. That will have a link to the blog post where I'll kind of list out how many materials I used, and I can list off kind of the sizes of our pallets and the sizes we chose to do for our cuts. Otherwise, always check back here at my YouTube channel. We have new videos every single week about farming, family, food, and fortitude here at our rough and tumble farmhouse.